everybody, and welcome to your Friday night installment of SPTV Live. Welcome, everybody in the chat. And this is a great comment, actually, to start. Kestrel42, this should be good. Alex always brings something special to the table, and something special indeed I'm bringing to the table for this is Catherine Olsen. How are you doing, Catherine?
I'm great.
Happy Christmas and New Year and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. You say Happy Christmas in the UK, right?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas.
Happy R6mas.
Happy R6mas.
How are you doing? Welcome back. How's your Christmas season?
My Christmas was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Yeah. Spent it with family and it was just great. Ate way too much sugar several days in a row. Didn't learn my lesson. And yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been quite sick over the festive season, so I'm just recovering from a bit of a cough, which has not been fun. It's because I'm PTS, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, you're labeled and everything, so.
Yeah, in fact, actually, you can't see it, but I've got my goldenrod framed now.
You framed.
I framed my goldenrod. Danielle Chamberlain's in the chat. Hi, Danielle, and hi, Neville. Hello, Mrs. J. Hello, Kelly from Cuba.
Wow,
it's
Cuba, cool
to be back. I haven't done a live in a while, so yeah, welcome.
I love your intro, by the way.
Thank you.
Power Thetans intro.
Power Thetans. That's what we are.
That's right.
There's actually some references here, right? 5 goldenrods. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I released just before Christmas a 12 Days of Christmas song. And I thought I would share. I'll just play the last, minute of it because
yeah, you should, because then it'll give the 12 days, right?
12 Days of Christmas. Yeah. So I thought you'd like this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Day of Christmas, minutes clock go to me. 12 PR flaps, 11 hit both sides, 10 Netflix chips, 9 PI sleeping, 8 protein needle, 7 postal service, 6 mayor smiling, 5 golden rods, 4 body things, 3 end guns, 2 legal threats, and a protest, and an SP.
That's awesome. Oh my god. I love the little jingle in the background.
Oh yeah. And at the end where I'm like, oh, Scientology sucks.
That's great.
So
oh my god.
If you haven't seen that already, go and check it out on my channel. It's just a bit of Christmas festive fun. But today we are here to talk about safe pointing, about PR area control, and about fair game. For those of you watching my channel, following me on Twitter, I've been doing a lot of work trying to expose the infiltration of local government through Scientology's policy of safe pointing. And I got a document through yesterday that I thought I would share with everybody because a number of people reported the mayor to Mid Sussex District Council Code of Conduct, this whole complaints procedure, basically saying that the mayor, having attended so many Scientology events this year, is bringing the office into disrepute, and there are some really strict guidelines on holding public office and integrity and all that sort of thing. And on the 28th of December, so yesterday, I got a response from the council, and I thought I would go through that. But firstly, I wanted to share the process. So on the Mid Sussex District Council website, there's a really clear set of rules and procedures for if you make a complaint. And essentially, if you make a complaint, you have to submit it online or in writing. And then essentially it goes to an independent person who then reviews the complaint. And this just outlines who it is. And then what happens is they review it. And if they feel there's a potential breach, they then put together what's called a standards subcommittee. And they have the power to disqualify a member. And they can, make something happen if someone has broken the code of conduct. So before they put together a committee, a standards committee, they have to review the evidence and basically decide whether there's enough evidence to warrant putting together a subcommittee. And essentially, they're not going to do that. They don't think that there has been substantial enough evidence to put together a subcommittee, which I think is quite disappointing. But before we go through it, let's just talk a little bit more about the policy of safe pointing and why they do this. So, Catherine, you spent time at an ideal org, a class 5 city level org, and in international management, right? So what's your experience on this whole safe pointing, getting into favor local governments, all that sort of thing?
Well, when I was in Columbus, Ohio, and the ideal org there, I was there at the before the org opened, so I would hear about the director of special affairs and the public relations person would team up all the time, and they made friends with various city officials, with the mayor, with we even had a TV station that was right across the street. I mean, it's still there. It was a TV station right across the street from the org, and they're friends with that station. And I mean, we use them to do some of our marketing and promotion and stuff, ads, and we did some TV ads at the beginning and stuff. And they made friends with the local the police chief, I think the fire chief. But they go around, especially when an ideal org is about to open, they go around and they meet all the various city officials that they can, and make appointments for meetings, and tell them, how great Scientology is, and they have these brochures and booklets and all this stuff, and this is what we do for the community, and blah blah blah. And they do this so that they have friends in the local government. And it's yeah, they do that all over the place. And of course they do it in LA as well. I was in upper middle management in LA, which doesn't deal as much with the local the local city council and stuff, because it's very internal. At one point we had a port captain, which is like the PR person, and she did quite a bit, but then they sent her off on some project, and really nobody really picked that up. They kind of rely on the Los Angeles organization, the Big Blue, as people call it, to do that sort of thing in LA. They rely on them to do that. It's like, that's your job. We got other stuff to do.
Sure. I thought I would share here. This is the some of the policies, right? So this is a quote from HCOPL, which means Hub Communication Office, policy letter called the Safe Point. The most important action to undertake when going about making a safe point is to carefully and painstakingly find out who exactly are the top dogs in the area in financial and political circles, and their associates, connections, and to what each one is hostile. A handful of allies with impressive sounding titles and positions is not enough. Viability depends on having all areas and persons who could affect or influence the operation under PR control. So it's very much policy to control anyone and everyone that could affect an organization in the local area, right?
That's right. It almost reminds me of, I don't know how many people, probably a lot of people in the US, I don't know how many people internationally have seen the TV show Breaking Bad. Have you seen that show?
One of my favorite TV shows.
Oh, good. Time. Okay, good. I didn't know, because I mean, I just saw it last year. I watched all of it. I'd heard
great.
of it before, but I'd never seen it. I loved it. It was great. But the guy, what's his name? Gus, right? The super drug dealer guy. That was one of his tactics. He made friends with everyone in the local area, and he was friends with the the DEA and the police chief and everybody. So nobody would suspect him of doing anything wrong. It's literally the same thing with Scientology. They make all these friends. So it's like, somebody pipes up and says, oh, they're trafficking or they're doing this and that, and they're like, what are you talking about? The Scientology is cool, we're friends with them, type thing.
Exactly. The whole point is so that they look the other way when they're
Yeah,
pulled into question, right?
exactly.
There's some more of these policies here. For example, this one here is where L. Ron Hubbard is instructing people: get a job on the secretarial staff or the bodyguard, use any talent one has to get a place or close in. The whole point, they're literally instructing Scientologists to try and infiltrate local governments by getting jobs and working in that area. PR area control. It's here like customs, immigration, dockmasters, police officials, town officials, etc., are all the subject of PR area control. It goes on here about the object of PR is persuasion to think either newly or differently, or to keep on thinking the same way. Therefore, coercion to think in the way required is done by varying ideas persuasively. So it's talking here about very much the goal is to infiltrate, control, influence, and persuade local officials and opinion leaders so that they are Scientology friendly, again, so that they turn the other way, right?
That's why it's so bad for Scientology that they have no international PR spokesperson anymore, because every person who's done that job has just made it worse.
Yeah.
And not even because they're like, a particularly a bad person or anything. It's just to try to PR Scientology is not even really possible if a reporter or if anybody knows how to ask the right questions. It's just not possible. So it's really a losing job.
But it hasn't stopped them from trying, right? If you look at
Yeah.
Clearwater, they play the long game, right? They have spent decades buying property and trying to influence the mayor and the councillors on the town council, so that ultimately now they're in a place where they own a great deal of property and have quite a lot of influence in the city of Clearwater. And that's what they do. And they're doing the same thing in East Grinstead. And as much as it's a difficult task, by inviting the mayor to the Tom Cruise film premiere of Mission Impossible and getting him to switch on the Christmas lights and go to the IES event. All of these things are just kind of gifts and attempts to woo over local officials with no other reason than to just have them in their pocket.
That's right. That's right. And they do similar things in LA, like and in Clearwater, like you say, like during the holidays, they have this whole winter wonderland thing that they do. And it's huge in Clearwater. And they do one in LA too that's a little bit smaller. And I think this year they really had a lot of trouble with it because there's this Scientology audits Streets LA William, right? Who's out there every day, every night with people and just constantly telling people not to go in there. So I think this year is probably a bust for them because I can't see a lot of people going in there when that's going on.
The pressure is certainly mounting, and the same here in the UK, right? I launched a petition just before Christmas. If you go to change.org/Scientology, it will bring you to the petition that I started, which is to stop Scientology abuse and end local government support in East Grinstead. It's got 800 signatures so far. And this is basically anyone can sign this. It's a petition asking local government to rethink their support of the Church of Scientology. And I think this, alongside the protest and the protests that are happening over in LA, it's very clear that the public are not happy about Scientology, and people now more than ever are aware of what really goes on behind closed doors, right? And I think that pressure is definitely notably increased this year.
Yeah. Can you put a link to that in this video?
Yes, it's in the description.
Okay.
Change.org/Scientology. I'll put it here in the change.org/Scientology. It's in the chat as well. So if anyone wants
somebody's talking about Portland. Hey, I'm in Oregon. Whoever that is, Kestrel 42. I'm just 45 minutes south of Portland.
Amazing. Truly global audience. I love this.
Right.
It's so great. So without further ado, what I'll do is I'll go through this response to the complaints that were made about the mayor. So for those of you who don't know, go and check the past videos. Essentially, the mayor has gone to a bunch of Scientology events. I wrote an article about it on Scientology Business, which is my blog, where I'm just talking about the fact that he accepted a £50,000 check on behalf of his charity at the IES event, and he's gone to a number of different events, and it's just bringing the whole public office into question. And so this is the response that we'll go through. If I can just open it up here. So it's a couple of pages long, so we'll breeze through it. Here, dear sir or madam, code of conduct complaints about the East Grinstead Mayor, Councillor Fraser Visser. On 24th of November, I received a complaint regarding Councillor Fraser Visser, the current town mayor. For reasons which will become apparent, the complainant has requested anonymity through the process, and I consider that it is appropriate to withhold their personal details. This complaint was followed on the 24th, 25th, and 26th of November with 4 further complaints from different members of the public. Notably, with regard to some of these complaints, they do not originate from the area, some as far as Taunton in Somerset. Redacted copies of the complaints were provided to the independent purpose for the consultation as required. The complaints concern, excuse me, I'm still getting over this cough, so sorry. The complaints concern the same subject matter, and I therefore propose to deal with them together. Distilling the various complaints, the main allegations are: Councillor Visser attended a Scientology event to receive a check for £50,000 on behalf of his nominated charity. He has attended other Scientology events, and this is a quote, and was due to switch on the Christmas lights at the Scientology headquarters tomorrow, Saturday, 25th of November. He has expressed his public support for Scientology on Twitter. He attended a hospitality event for a film premiere where he met the actor Tom Cruise. Allegations are made about the practices of the Church of Scientology with regard to local politicians and the PR strategies of the Church of Scientology. Allegations made about the recent US lawsuits that allege human trafficking, child labor, and harassment. The first complaint alleges that Councillor Visser's support for Scientology is extremely concerning, especially considering the number of events attended in relation to the small percentage of residents involved with the group. It concludes that Councillor Visser's continued support of Scientology, despite their lack of charitable status and failure to pass a public benefit test, and especially considering the current lawsuits made against the church that allege human trafficking, child labor, and harassment, has resulted in the integrity of himself and the council to be questioned. Now, the next paragraph, I think, is huge because without knowing it, the council have just admitted to them knowing fair game happens and fair game is a problem, right? Fair game is the policy under which Scientology attack and discredit critics and former members. And this statement here, I think, is huge. And I don't think they even realize it. It is worth noting at this stage that the anonymous complaint was made by a former member of the Church of Scientology. They expressed a fear that they could face reprisals if their identity was made public. I'm aware of some high-profile publicity regarding some of the practices of the Church of Scientology, and it appears that these fears could, on the balance of probabilities, be well-founded. I therefore consider it is appropriate to withhold the identities of all the complainants. So the council there just effectively said that based on the balance of probabilities, fair game happens, right? They're admitting that they're known for attacking and harassing former members.
Wow.
Right? That's not
Wow.
just me. I'm
No,
not
no,
misinterpreting
no. That's
that, am I?
no. I think you're right. Yeah.
Like, that's
Wow.
insane. Any thoughts so far, Catherine?
I think it's good that they're recognizing this and putting it in writing.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's carry on. It also seems apparent from the wording of the different complaints that these have been triggered by an online article on Scientologybusiness.com.
And that's you,
the
right?
article was provided. That's me. That's the
you.
article. That's me. Scientologybusiness.com is my blog, and I basically wrote an article detailing what was going on in East Grinstead Town Council, and that's the basis that these other people made their complaints based on. So he's just referencing that there.
Wow.
Relevant facts. So this is what the council have now come out and said, this is fact, this is what happened. It is important to distinguish between allegations made concerning the Church of Scientology and those relating to Councillor Visser. The relevant facts as they relate to Councillor Visser, that's the mayor, appear to be: he attended an event at the Church of Scientology to receive a check for £50,000 for his charity. He appears to have switched on the Christmas lights at the Church of Scientology. He attended a hospitality event in circa July 2023 to attend a film premiere and to meet Tom Cruise. Having apparently received online criticism regarding his involvement, made 2 public statements on social media, stating, "I'm non-political as mayor and support all members of the community. I'm not a Scientologist, but they are a valued and large part of East Grinstead. Switching on their Christmas lights will be fun. I'm sorry the fireworks will be affecting pets." As relation to as a legal religion in the UK, I represent all evenly. My personal views are not important. All residents are even. The East Grinstead Town Council also issued a statement when contacted by Scientology Business, which we won't read through the whole thing here. You can read it on my website. But essentially, the council came back and said that, Scientology are a part of the community, and the council, aren't under the influence, and they don't endorse Scientology or anything like that.
But I thought that Scientology wasn't recognized in the UK as a religion.
That's the problem, and this is one of the things that I raised in the first place. Was Scientology, their buildings have place of public religious worship status, which is a tax ruling, so they are exempt from certain property business tax, but they're not recognized as a charity, as a tax exempt religion, because they were rejected charity status by the Charity Commission because they couldn't prove a public benefit. Excuse me. So that's one of the points that I raised, is that they're not a legal religion. They're not recognized. They don't serve a public benefit. And that's one of the issues I raised with the council. And they issued a statement basically defending Scientology. And then I contacted them and said, you might want to reword that statement because they're not a legal religion. So they did. They reworded the statement and sent me a new one, which I published on Scientology Business. So these are all things that I provided to the council, and Kevin Toogood, who is the guy who reviews these code of conduct complaints, had all of this information. And he also had the policies that I shared earlier about infiltrating government and bringing them under PR control.
Yeah.
He then talks about the code of conduct. East Grinstead Town Council have the Local Government Association Model Code, and it sets out certain standards for conduct. And he basically pulled these things out as the key areas that he's going to look at, which is disrepute. As a councillor, I do not bring my role or local authority into disrepute. As a councillor, you are trusted to make decisions on behalf of your community, and your actions and behaviour are subject to greater scrutiny than that of ordinary members of the public. You should be aware that your actions may have an adverse impact on you or other councillors and or your local authority, and may lower the public's confidence in you or your local authority's ability to discharge your or its functions. For example, behaviour that is considered dishonest and or deceitful can bring your local authority into disrepute. You are able to hold the local authority and fellow councillors to account, and are able to constructively challenge and express concern about decisions and processes undertaken by the council. And then gifts and hospitality. So another thing, as a councillor, I do not accept gifts or hospitality, irrespective of value, which could give rise to real or substantive personal gain or reasonable suspicion of influence.
Wait a second. Didn't they accept like $50,000 for something? Or
yes, that was a
£50,000?
donation of his charity. So
for
it's
the
saying
charity.
here that you're allowed to take gifts and hospitality as long as it's not for personal
I
gain,
get it. Yeah.
or if it brings suspicion of influence on my part to show favor from persons seeking to acquire, develop, or do business with local authority. Okay. So you have to register your hospitality and gifts within 28 days, and so on. So that's the guidance. Now, this is what the investigation came back and said. As to disrepute, the guidance says that in general terms, the councillor's behaviour in office will bring the role into disrepute. It just goes into further clarify those 2 points. So it talks here about when it's okay to accept gifts and hospitality. So for example, the defense to that would be, well, he accepted a £50,000 check, but it was for his charity, not for him. So therefore it's okay. And it doesn't bring the office into disrepute. That's the kind of defense that was being made.
Well, what about him going to the The Tom Cruise movie premiere.
Well, yes, exactly. That's the thing. Simply accepting gifts or hospitality and then registering it does not mean that it may be seen as reasonable. Accepting an expensive meal from somebody who's negotiating for a contract with the council, for example, is not made right by recording it. So it's very clear here when it is and it isn't okay to take gifts and hospitality. And it says here, while gifts or hospitality can be offered for benign reasons, it's important for your reputation, the reputation of the local authority, and the need to reassure the public that decision making is not being improperly influenced, that you do not accept gifts or hospitality wherever possible. So you can accept gifts or hospitality as long as it doesn't influence your decision making, right? Is basically what the rules are.
Right.
So it then goes on into the procedure here. So the monitoring officer, who's the guy who's writing this, that's Kevin Toogood, just talks about here what happens. So he looks into the complaint and whether it links or is related to the code of conduct. And he says here, with regard to Councillor Visser's attendance to receive the cheque for his nominated charity, it is apparent that he was attending the event in his role as town mayor. The very purpose of his attendance was to receive a cheque for the town mayor's nominated charities. And indeed, I've been provided with pictures of him wearing the chain of office at this event. Equally, it seems reasonably clear that the social media comments related to his attendance at the Christmas lights as town mayor, other than in any personal capacity. It is likely on the balance of probabilities that the hospitality he accepted, i.e. the film premiere, was also accepted in an official capacity, as it is unlikely to have been offered had he not been a town councillor or the town mayor. I'm therefore satisfied that the complaints relate to the code of conduct. The second question to be answered, therefore, is whether the complaints have sufficient substance to justify consideration by the Standards Committee. So essentially here he's saying, yes, the complaints relate to the code of conduct. Now we need to look at whether those complaints are substantial enough for us to formally investigate and put forward to a committee.
Yeah.
He talks about the function of a town councillor, and this is all very long and boring, so I'm not going to read through it all, but it talks about what the mayor is and what it does and so on. Legally, therefore, it can be seen that the functions of the town councillor and its councillors relate to local matters and the provision of allotments, bus stops, play areas, etc. The town council also plays an important representative role in the community, often being the first point of contact for local residents facing difficulties. It also acts as a consultee on certain matters to the district council and so on. The allegations made with regard to Councillor Visser relate to his attendance at events and a perception of involvement or defence of the Church of Scientology. In his role as town mayor, it would be considered normal to be invited to occasions where a cheque is to be presented to him on behalf of his charities. The comments made by Councillor Visser on social media indicate that he is aware that his role is to represent the whole of the East Grinstead community and that the Church of Scientology is one part of that community. I did not see anything in those comments which could be characterized as defending the Church of Scientology. Now, for me, this is concerning because he talks about the Church of Scientology being a valued and large part of the community and it being a legal religion. And all of those statements are false. It's not a legal religion here, and it's not a large and valued part of the community because East Grinstead locals and residents made it very clear to me that they don't support the Church of Scientology. They're concerned about it. And I looked at the census data. The total number of Scientologists in East Grinstead and surrounding areas is like 0.18% of the population. So it's not a large part of the community. So he's very much defending the Church of Scientology.
And he's just listening to what they say about themselves. He's not looking at actual figures.
Exactly. So it's disappointing that Kevin Toogood here has decided that doesn't equate to defending Scientology, because I definitely think that his comments on social media absolutely were defending Scientology.
Yeah, I think it does too. Definitely.
Having regard to the functions and duties of the town council, there is nothing in the allegations which could reasonably be regarded as reducing confidence in the town council's ability to perform its functions. Again, something that I have an issue with, because a number of residents have responded to tweets and comments on Facebook about this whole saga and have all agreed that they are concerned about the mayor's attendance at these events. And considering the policy of Scientology is to assert control and influence over the local government, they're concerned that the mayor is being influenced by Scientology. So I don't understand how it's been decided that it could not be reasonably regarded as reducing confidence, because confidence has been reduced as per the 800 signatures on this change.org petition I showed earlier. It's ridiculous.
That's probably 800 is probably more than the Scientologists. And
yeah, exactly.
East Grinstead. How many Scientologists would you say are in that area?
I don't have the figures in front of me, but I think it was about 700 or 800 or something in the local area. Yes.
So it's you can probably get easily get a lot more signatures than there are Scientologists even.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there are only 2,000, 3,000 Scientologists in the whole of the UK. So it's going to be very easy to surpass that with the petition. It is important to note that the allegations made regarding the involvement of the Church of Scientology in various US lawsuits merely allege that the organization is being investigated. There is no allegation that the Church of Scientology has been found guilty of any of the matters alleged, and it would not be appropriate for me to comment further on these matters. I mean, that's fair enough. It's their allegations at this point.
Yeah.
It should also be noted that Councillor Visser has not, in any of the material I have been provided with, made any statement in support of the Church of Scientology in relation to those or other matters. At most, he identifies them as a valued and large part of the community. Whilst I note what is said in the complaints regarding the number of Scientologists in East Grinstead as a percentage of the population, I do not consider that the use of the term large has any bearing on the substance of the complaint. I mean, that's disappointing, but fair enough. Now, this next statement is highly concerning. Again, having had regard to the responsibilities of a town councillor and town mayor, there is nothing in the allegations which could reasonably be regarded as reducing public confidence in Councillor Visser's ability to perform that role. Now, I've had a number of people contact me, a number of people commenting on these live streams, a number of people email me, and they all made it very clear that his involvement in Scientology events and going to them and speaking publicly very definitely reduces public confidence in him, in the council, the mayor, and his role. So I just don't understand how this could have been, this conclusion could have been made.
Yeah.
In relation to the matter of hospitality, I'm mindful that a breach under obligation requires real or substantial personal gain or reasonable suspicion of influence to show favour from persons seeking to acquire or develop or do business with the local authority. I've not been provided with any evidence nor any direct allegation made of any real substantive personal gain to Councillor Visser, nor that Scientology is seeking to do business with the council or seek any other significant advantage. There is no evidence presented which indicates Councillor Visser would show any particular favour to the Church of Scientology in town council matters. Now, that is just simply categorically false, because the policy, as I shared earlier, very clearly states that the idea is to control and influence local government officials. That is exactly what they're trying to do. So how on earth can he say that he's not been provided any evidence that that's what they're trying to do, when it's written in L. Ron Hubbard's own words that that's the only reason they invite mayors to events?
Wow. Did you give them that policy? You did?
Yeah, and it's in the article on Scientology Business that they quoted earlier.
Oh my God.
Like, for me, this is just evidence that not just East Grinstead Town Council, but Mid Sussex District Council, which is the one above the East Grinstead Town Council, it just shows that they are looking favourably at Scientology with regard to these matters, which indicates to me that this PR area control is working, because they're turning a blind eye and they're just not looking at this with a fair view. It goes on to talk about the town clerk and hospitality events and the records and so on. But essentially here, I'm not satisfied on the evidence provided that the allegations have sufficient substance to be considered by the Standards Committee. Yours sincerely, Kevin Too Good, monitoring officer. So
Too good.
too good. It's exactly. So essentially, he looked at the whole matter and he's decided that it's not worth putting towards a committee for them to review. It's not worth further investigation, which I just think is absolutely ridiculous, because the evidence is clear as day that
Yeah.
Scientology are trying to influence
Yeah.
Fraser Visser and the council.
Well, they've given a lot of money to their favorite charities, so I'm sure over the years, if you added it up, how much have they given to like various charities that they support, and like they have
Yeah.
they obviously have a vested interest in defending them. So
Yeah. And exactly, it's interesting that it's not even that they've looked at this and said, okay, let's do an investigation and put it towards the committee and then look into it and find that it's, you know, not a thing. They've shot it down at the
yeah,
very first hurdle and said, we're not even going to bother putting this towards the committee.
yeah.
But
Have you responded to that yet, or you're going to respond to that?
I've sent an email back and basically raised some concerns. Said, look, the policy very clearly is to influence and assert control over the area, and I'll keep everyone updated as to what happens with that. But for me, it's just highly, highly concerning that they're not even going to investigate.
Yeah,
It's
wow.
crazy.
It is totally crazy.
Batgo, thank you for the gifted memberships. That's very kind of you. For those of you watching the channel, I have memberships enabled, not because I do exclusive content. I don't like the idea of that. For me, it's just, you know, you get these little emojis you can use in the chat with PTS and with Dave Miscavige and Janet Laveau and all of that. And if I upload a video that's pre-recorded, I'll generally give it to access to members 24 hours or so before it goes live to the general public. So it's just a way of showing support for the channel. So thank you, Batgo, for those.
Somebody was asking earlier what other organizations, Scientology organizations, there were in the UK to do protests outside of. So I thought we could just quickly list out the orgs in the UK. Do you know them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm trying to find.
I want to see if I remember them off the top of my head.
Go on.
Birmingham,
yeah.
Plymouth, yeah. Sunderland, Dublin, Manchester, of course, London, and then St. Hill. Isn't there something else? Am I missing? What am I missing?
So Bournemouth and Poole have quite a big mission.
Oh yeah, that's the mission. I was thinking of the orgs.
Yeah, and then there's Edinburgh as well, which is Happy.
Oh yeah, Happy.
Association of Personal Independence. Yeah, so there's quite a few, but London is definitely the biggest org, followed by Birmingham. Manchester is coming soon, apparently, and obviously St. Hill being the headquarters.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, Mazzo here. Dublin's not in the UK. Dublin is in Ireland.
Yeah,
same part of the world. It
but
comes
it's
under the UK banner.
Yeah,
Scientology.
Scientology management wise, it's under the UK. So.
Yeah, the UK is actually a continent.
Sorry to my Irish friends.
Yeah, Scientology is actually Scientology considered the UK a continent, separate from Europe, which is very strange. What are your thoughts, Catherine, on this so far, where we're at with this whole debacle?
I think these people are being bought off with, you know, meeting Tom Cruise and getting donations for their charities, and I don't know what else they're doing for them. I wonder if any of these people ever took any courses, any Scientology courses. Makes me wonder.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've looked through all of the records I can find. I can't see any record of any of the counselors actually doing Scientology courses, but there are a number of them that go to all of the events. And the number one offender, I kid you not, is Dick Sweatman.
Sweatman.
His name. So Scientology can't get enough of Dick Sweatman. They love Dick Sweatman. And Dick Sweatman is a huge supporter of Scientology. He goes to all of the events. He is featured in a number of Scientology PR videos about how great Scientology is and Saint Hill and all of this. The infiltration runs deep. There's a number of counselors and officials who have all been to events and supported Scientology over the years.
Yeah, and they probably just love bomb them to death and say how great they are, and I don't know, take them to dinner or treat them to dinner. I don't know. And then I don't know if the when you look up what courses people have done, or you look up who's completed what course, I don't know if does that include all the introductory type stuff, or is that just academy?
It's hard because like it's only based on like the local org magazine. So London doesn't have a local org magazine, so they don't publish the completions. Yeah, because it's never been big enough. It's never had someone in the post to create the local org magazine. So Saint Hill does, and you can see the Saint Hill completions. But if someone like all of my courses were done at London org, so there's no record online other than the certificates that I've got that shows the courses that I've done, because the truthaboutscientology.com website only goes off the magazines, and not every org has a magazine, and not all of those magazines end up being published online. So it's very possible a lot of these courses were done and weren't published anywhere.
Yeah, and I bet I bet the various people that deal with Scientology all the time, I bet they got tours of Saint Hill and things like that, tours of London, Oregon. Saint Hill is pretty impressive as far as like the restoration of the building and renovations and the castle and all that. So yeah, they probably just think it's pretty cool, and don't really look into what they're actually doing.
And this is the problem, right? Kelsey Mills here said, didn't the council give them a pass on licensing errors, etc.? Yes. So one of the things I covered recently, so Scientology have what's called a premises license, which allows them to host events of up to 7,000 people on their property. And there are certain conditions on that license. And one of them is if they're holding a large gathering, like the IES event, they have to give 6 weeks notice to the council that they're holding this event. And they didn't do that for the IES event.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember the council heard of it was when I contacted them, and they're like, what event? So they did a visit and they found that they were in breach of their premises license. And that is considered a serious offence under British law that's punishable by a £20,000 fine and or 6 months imprisonment.
I bet Janet got in trouble for
that. The council just gave them a slap on the wrist and wrote them an email and said, don't do it again. So the favourable treatment of Scientology is evident based on recent events. And I've actually recently got all of the emails from internally sent emails from the council through an FOI request that I'll be publishing very soon. But it's just amazing to me that it's so clearly working. They're safe pointing and they're looking the other way, and that they're not even going to investigate the claims that they're being infiltrated.
They probably don't. They probably also don't want like the headache that comes with it. Because if someone really looked into it and looked into like, okay, well, what happens when somebody, goes against Scientology or is not friends with them anymore, or tries to look into tries to investigate them or whatever. And all of Scientology's fair game crap that they do, people don't want to be involved in that. So if they don't have any balls, then that's what's going to happen.
Well, this is the point that I'm trying to make.
Meanwhile, Alex is taking on all of Scientology UK single-handedly, practically.
This is the point I'm trying to make. Is it's like supporting Scientology comes with a lot of a headache for you from a PR perspective. So why are they like? It would just make more sense for a mayor or a councillor to just not go to the events, because this is what happens. Like, why do they think it's worth this PR headache? I just don't understand it. Excuse me.
That's a really good question. It'd probably be, God, if you could get somebody who's been, on one of these councils before, or part of like local government or something, and just like talk to them, like maybe a former, like someone who's done it in the past type of thing, and ask them like what entices people to do this other than being wined and dined. And
Yeah,
whatever is
my
going on.
understanding, having spoken to people who used to be on the council, and I've got a number of people I'm speaking to who are well placed to speak about current affairs with the council, all say that it's just an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
Scientology saying, "Hey, come and do this event and speak at this event, and you get to wear your chain." Like they love it because they feel important, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah, and
great,
there's all these
trust us to
thousands of
speak." And
people, and yeah,
yeah,
that makes
it's an
sense.
ego thing. That's
Yeah.
literally all it is it's making these people, feel special for the day.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
crazy. Um,
Huh.
Haley Cook, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for all your hard work. Oh my gosh, Power
Oh,
Thetans
what a
had me
cute picture.
laughing.
I love her picture. That's really cute.
If anyone wants to support the channel, by the way, buymeacoffee.com/apostate Alex. There's a link in the description. That's the best way of supporting the channel and helping me do more of this. I do really appreciate it. Sarah Lane, anyone fancy a protest or three? There is information coming out very soon. I'll be releasing in the new year about the protest plans. Obviously, we had a huge protest
Ooh,
in November for the IS event. The IS event will be happening again next year in October. And I've already said that we'll be back bigger and stronger than last year. So
that's great.
absolutely, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there are plans for other activism sort of actions happening in the coming months. So please keep an eye on the channel for that. But yes, it will happen, I'm sure. Catherine, did you want to talk about safe pointing and stuff from your time in the org, or any interesting stories from when you were on staff?
I mean, what I remember the most, I wasn't a lot on like the external aspect of things. I mean, I was sort of, because I was doing promotion and marketing when I was in Columbus, but as far as like PR type stuff, I wasn't doing a lot. But when we did, okay, anyone who Scientology hires, like, even when we hired like marketing people, and we use like iHeartRadio for ads, and we use this TV station for ads, and various newspaper places and stuff to place ads. Anybody who we had like that, there would always be, before you start using them, you invite them in for a tour. You do like there's a whole procedure that you do to save point that person or company or whatever. And you know you take them to lunch, you give them a tour, you give them like a little mini briefing on what Scientology is and what they do for the community, or you have the director of special affairs do that, or somebody in Division 6, which is the deals with public relations in Division 6. And they just basically make friends, and that's a huge part of it. You just make friends with people, even if you don't buy them lunch or have refreshments or whatever. You're making friends, and that goes a long way. Definitely goes a long way, because
Yeah.
we'd have, like, I would have various newspaper companies and PR marketing type companies. They would give me some special deals sometimes, simply because I was nice to them and I would talk to them, and they got a tour, and we always paid our bills on time and all this. It's like all this stuff that they do to make friends with the community, and make friends with officials and stuff, and people in the community, is all so that they can further what they can further what they're trying to do. So that's what we did. And we had this one thing that we did where the director of special affairs and the PR person in Division 6 um had a line with the police chief, and we all went in one Saturday, and we like made sandwiches for the police that were at the protests, and they love that. They were like super happy about that. So it's like all this stuff that they organize and they do just to like, it goes back to the reference I made on Breaking Bad, because if you're trying to do something that's kind of underhanded and not totally, and it's not in people's best interests, you don't want to promote that's what you're doing. You want to promote the good things that you're apparently doing.
There's no policy on like genuinely wanting to help the local community. All of the policies are just doing it to curry favor and to look good
Exactly.
and get the PR story. There's
Exactly.
there's no policy that I'm aware of where it says, you know, try and help your local community and put, you know, put some resources towards, you know, helping local causes. No, it all says do that so that you get a good favorable PR image and can assert control over the local authorities.
Yeah, because even if you're making friends with, you know, whatever marketing people or whatever, you're still trying to like sell them a book, or you're trying to sell them books, or you're trying to get them on to come in and do services or whatever. That's like that would be your ultimate goal. Aside from just doing business with them and getting a good deal on things and whatever, you're trying to get them in to take a course, to pay for a course, to maybe continue taking courses and continue paying money, and that's all you're trying to do, really.
Yeah.
Even when they would open up, like we opened up our chapel for other a couple other churches to do their services in, because they didn't have a space for whatever reason. It was turned into like sort of a dissemination thing on like trying to like introduce people to Scientology and, you know, get them curious about it and bring more people in. They're always trying to bring more people in. So
Yeah. It's the same when there were riots in London. I remember we went out to hand out Way to Happiness booklets, and the whole idea was trying to appear to the police like we were doing something, we were helpful, you know, and we're a good group of people. Like the whole point was to gain favorable image among the police and the local
yeah.
authorities, right?
Yeah, then they take photos of that, or they take a video of that, and they make it look like it's a huge deal.
Did you
They
see
make it
at the
look
New
like
Year's
it's a
event
big
they
thing,
claimed
and then and
they
then they
claimed the
play it.
protest in Portland?
Oh, they did. No, I didn't
Yes,
see
there were
that.
protests in Portland, and they claimed at the New Year's event, David Miscavige is like, we handed out the Way to Happiness booklets, and within 24 hours, the protests in Portland stopped.
Yeah, right. Portland's
Genuinely.
a freaking mess.
He genuinely, he said, call it divine intervention or coincidence or what, but we handed out all of these Way to Happiness booklets, and within 24 hours, the riots stopped.
Yeah, that's just a bunch of that's a bunch of hot air. That really is. Yeah, because then they use that for all the propaganda in the events that they
Exactly.
play, and mostly for Scientologists. But there's some new people that come in and see that and are like, wow, cool, they're doing so much. And really it was like 3 people handing out Way to Happiness or something. It's like, yeah.
Exactly. Some questions here. Haley Cook, is there any way we can help from across the pond? Yes. Change.org/Scientology. If you want to sign the petition, please go ahead. I'm trying to show the numbers that there are people who are concerned about this infiltration and the influence Scientology asserts over local government. So that's the best way of helping, if you want to. Mary Contrary, great name. This angers me. I work for a council and it is so frustrating. Same with Selena here. Hey Selena, I have council friends, Alex. Look, if you guys want to get in touch with me, hello@apostatealex.com is the email address. I obviously have stuff planned in response to this, so please do get in touch if you feel like you can help in any sort of way. Danielle here, question MP next. Well, the MP, the Member of Parliament, also attended the IES event recently in November. So that's why I'm concerned, because it's not just the mayor, it's a number of officials at all different levels of local government who are clearly in Scientology's good books. So it's going to be a hard one for sure. Judy here, how far is St. Hill from London? It's about an hour and a half, depending on which way you go. You can get there on the train or you can drive. Gnome Sane here says, question, did you mention Hungary's investigation of Scientology results in indictments of 11 for tax fraud and your correspondence with them? No, so this actually happened after the investigation was done. So that's brand new news. That was only a week or so ago. So that wasn't a part of this complaint, but I'm sure the investigating officer will be aware of that now.
Yeah, that was
It's wild.
fantastic news.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
I'm
goodness.
sure it's only just the beginning as well. Um, Electric cars and vans. Hi, dude. Thanks for shining a light on this organization. I found your video after I saw your post on the East Grinstead Community Facebook group. It's good that they allow you to post on there. Please post again. Well, thank you. I would post again. However, I received so much backlash from that post so there's an East Grinstead
What did
Community
you
Facebook
what
group.
did you do?
There's a couple of different East Grinstead groups on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And I posted just a question. I'm interested to hear from local residents what their thoughts are on Scientology. Just a question, right? Message me privately or comment below.
Yeah.
Do you think they're good, they're bad, concerned, whatever? Like, please, just asking the question. And I had hundreds of comments and messages, people attacking me, questioning my what my intentions are, why I'm doing it, and seeing suspect and all of this. It was really, really hotly debated.
Yeah,
And
that's just a bunch of Scientologists.
yeah, the post got removed in a couple of the Facebook groups, but it was allowed to stay in one of them. And all I was asking is, do you think it's great? And what's interesting is there wasn't a barrage of comments saying Scientology is great for the community, we love them and they're really helpful. Not one. It was full of people going, yeah, they're all right, I don't really think about them, and people going, they're horrible and we hate them. And the rest of the comments were people attacking me, even though all I did was ask a question. So I'm a bit reluctant to post again on those groups, but I'm sure I will.
I'm sure that OSA UK has a whole huge list of Scientologists they can contact in that case and be like, hey, you need to go on this group and get rid of this SP. Help us get rid of this SP.
Especially considering I'm public enemy number 1 in the UK right now. Although, how funny, I actually phoned London Org. I told you about this the other day. I phoned London Org recently just to get an update. And I asked them, I said, hey, I just want to know, like, am I declared a suppressive person now? Or like, what's my return program? Can I have an update? And they basically said, no, you're not a declared suppressive person. There's no change to your status as a potential trouble source. And that was that, which I don't think is completely true. I think they just didn't want to give me any more evidence or anything to talk about.
They're trying to not give you stuff you can talk about on YouTube.
But officially, I'm not an SP. I don't know how. What's it going to take? I organized the largest protest in 15 years in the UK.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that there's some declare on you or something, but they're not going to tell you about it just for the reasons that we already covered. Exactly. They don't want to give you the satisfaction of it because apparently you're very happy about it. So, and it's not impinging on you at all. It's not making you come back and say you're sorry and retract everything that you've done and do your A to E steps. Just for anyone who doesn't know, A to E are just the steps that Scientology requires you to take if you want to not be declared an SP anymore.
Yeah, just your path back into good graces, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Apologize and give them a lot of money.
Yeah,
and
maybe get the mayor to go to an event or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes. Well,
I wonder if I should call somebody and ask them if I'm declared. I was thinking
it's always worth asking, but the thing is, they don't publicize these things anymore. Like there's probably a declare, but they probably just haven't. They won't show it to you. They won't give you a copy anymore because they know that they just end up online.
Exactly.
But who knows? Well, look, Catherine, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up? Because I know we're approaching up to an hour now. What are your
but we should do more lives and talk about stuff.
Yes. When's your channel coming? You mentioned
my channel's coming.
Have a channel soon.
I know. I keep saying this. I keep saying I'm going to do it. It is coming. It goes along with something else I'm doing, which you know extensively about, Alex. So as soon as I have that something else in place and I can go, okay, here I am, then I can hit the button on the top here that says stream this to your audience when we do a live.
How exciting. I can't wait.
I got a mic and everything. This is my maiden voyage of my new microphone.
We need to have a maiden voyage event. Maybe we need to celebrate the anniversary.
That's in June. I don't want to wait till June.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for joining
thanks,
me
Alex.
for this. And
Yeah.
guys watching this, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe as well, because YouTube's been unsubscribing people and they don't always get notifications. So just double check.
I wonder why that happens. Does anybody know why that happens?
I don't know, but double check that you've got the
something.
bell switched so you get all notifications when I go live. And if you want to support the channel, the best way of doing it is commenting after the video's finished. Press the like button. You know, you can buy me a coffee down below if you want to support financially, and PayPal, all that sort of stuff. But the best way is engagement.
I just want to say that you need to support Alex, because he spends a lot of time on this stuff and very detailed, as you can see from the documents that he just showed. It's like he does a lot of work on this, so he needs some support. Give him some love.
Thank you. I am working pretty much full time on this, so it's becoming a full-time job and it's worth it. And there is so much going on behind the scenes that I can't wait to share with everybody, that will all come out in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a ton going on behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's all, I think 2024 is going to be one for the history books for Scientology, and it's not one that they're not gonna like. It's going to be an annus horribilis, as the late Queen said.
What does that mean?
Annus horribilis is Latin for like horrible year. In the 90s, I think it was, there was a year when lots of things happened, and she called it's been annus horribilis, means the worst year ever for the royal family.
What do you think of your new king, by the way? I forgot to ask you about this. Your new king.
My new king. Oh, King Charles. Yeah, it's a whole nother debate. But yeah, we have King Charles III. Now we need a king of SPs. Maybe I should have a crowning ceremony. I need a coronation.
Right.
But yes, 2024, year of reckoning, exactly. Oh, not this one, year of reckoning. Yes, it's going to be one for the history books, I think. So stay tuned. And if you want to check out the information, scientologybusiness.com. If you want to sign the petition, change.org/Scientology. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much. And
thanks, everybody.
Back with you soon. And Catherine will be back very soon as well by popular demand. You are much loved by the community. So let's get your channel up and running.
Thank you. Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.